Hi, Dr. Dolly. I am calling with a question about a late contribution for a backdoor Roth IRA that I ended up making as I realized that we are married, filing separately for the first time this year as I'm ending my residency year as a PGY3, rolling into an attending salary for the second half of the year, and I will be going for PSLF. And in anticipation for that, wanted our income to look less, given that we are in Washington and Washington is a community property state. I have a spouse who was not working last year, so we thought this was going to be a luxury that splitting my resident salary between the two of us for a community property would make my income look less. But the side effect is that when you file separately, your Roth cap for income is $10K. Which is significantly below what the income was last year. So now, having made a Roth recharacterization to a traditional IRA and now conversion back to a Roth in May 2020 for the 2019 tax year, I'm now trying to figure out how to do a late conversion through TurboTax with the idea that I need to fill out this 2019 form 8606, but then also need to fill out a 2020 form as well. Thank you for all you do, and I appreciate any advice you have. Thanks.
But in Jackie's case, the question is really about backdoor Roth IRAs and late contributions to a backdoor Roth IRA, especially when you already kind of screwed up your IRA contributions for the year and actually have to recharacterize them. So yes, Jackie, you need to recharacterize the Roth IRA to a traditional IRA. And then as soon as you're allowed to, reconvert it to a Roth IRA. But you can't do a late conversion. The conversion is always reported on the tax form for the year in which it is actually done. So if you do the conversion step in 2020, it gets reported on your 2020 taxes. But if the contribution is for the 2019 tax year, even if you do it in 2020, it still goes on your 2019 tax form, that 8606 form that you report your backdoor Roth IRA contributions. But a recharacterization is basically going back and telling the IRS that I didn't really do a Roth IRA contribution, I really did a traditional IRA contribution. So it's reported on your taxes exactly the same as if it were just a simple IRA contribution in the first place. So it's not really a big deal there. If you need help with these subjects, take a look at my Backdoor Roth IRA tutorial on the blog. Just Google Backdoor Roth IRA tutorial, it'll pop right up. There's also a post about late contributions to the Backdoor Roth IRA, which will walk you through what you need to put on the tax forms if you do your contribution for the previous year in the next year. So if you're making contributions for 2019 in May of 2020, then you'll want to fill that out according to that late contribution to the Backdoor Roth IRA tutorial. And if you need help with TurboTax, one of my favorite Backdoor Roth IRA TurboTax tutorials is done by the finance buff, Harry Sitt, who spoke at the White Coat Investor Conference last March. So check that out too. And if you're still stuck, we've got a bunch of recommended tax folks on the site. Just go to whitecoatinvestor.com, look at the recommended tab, and go down to tax strategists. Those guys will help you sort out your taxes. If you want your questions answered by the White Coat Investor, record your question at whitecoatinvestor.com/YQA or click the link in the description.